Hey everybody, Echo V here, and let's talk about Final Fantasy, easily one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. And just like any other franchise, Final Fantasy has merchandise. Which is why, for this video, I'll be answering if you can survive solely off of Final Fantasy merchandise. And can you? No. Okay, but in all seriousness, it's actually quite difficult because one, not all of the Final Fantasy merch created are still in production. As a franchise, Final Fantasy has existed since 1987. You'd be hard pressed to find Final Fantasy merchandise from decades ago still on a store shelf today. And second, even if you did, not all of them existed at the exact same time. Again, merchandise released in, say, 1997 would not share the same shelf space as a product created in 2019. But what if they did? What if, somewhere out there was a universe where even in this current year, every merchandise and promotion under the Final Fantasy banner are still happening to this very day and at the exact same time? Damn! That'd be an awesome universe to live in. Unfortunately, this is not that universe, but let's find out anyway. Here we go! Before we actually begin, I should let you all know that I only have one rule for this video. Officially licensed merchandise only. I know it goes without saying, but I still feel that I have to say it. If I include fan-made or even bootleg merchandise, making this video would be a breeze. Basically, as long as it can be found under the merchandise category in the Final Fantasy Wiki, it's fair game. Now let's do this! It's morning, and look at you waking up early thanks to your Final Fantasy VII Remake Buster Sword alarm clock. Maybe I might need one so I can finally wake up early for once. But hold on, you're not in your home. Don't worry, you weren't kidnapped nor are you living in the streets. Because it's no Final Fantasy licensed street, by the way. You're actually in the Royal Park Hotel in Shiodome, Minato, Tokyo, Japan. Wow, this video barely even started and we're already living in Japan. Go figure! Actually, specifically, you're on its third floor, staying in a Final Fantasy XIV themed hotel room. Just like anybody, after waking up, you probably need to freshen up, so it's off the bathroom. And since I'm a decent person, I'll let you do whatever business you need to do in the bathroom, and we'll be back continuing our Final Fantasy themed lifestyle. Just make sure you smell good with some Final Fantasy themed fragrances, where you can smell like Cloud, Lightning, Noctis, and even... After freshening up and before going out, wear some fresh clothing because you should have gotten your birthday suit. Unfortunately, despite the number of collaborations with various fashion companies, as well as showcasing the clothing of the Chocobros in the Yokohama Doll Museum, the only clothing I could find are solely tops, which means that sadly, your dress, bottoms, socks, shoes, and undies will unfortunately not be Final Fantasy themed. Talk about a fashion disaster, am I right? I mean, Moogle-themed underwear, especially for women, is a missed opportunity. Anyways, back to the tops. Your choices are quite limited unfortunately, although you can go for the recent Uniqlo X Final Fantasy 35th Anniversary Collection, which has every Final Fantasy game as of that point. I mean, they even have a Final Fantasy 16 version! Or maybe you think Uniqlo's designs are trash, so why not go to Universal Studios Japan, where they sold some merchandise to go with their Final Fantasy themed XR ride. I mean, they have a Dissidia themed shirt as well, so maybe it's worth checking out. It might be cold out, so you might want to wear a hoodie. For that, if you're still at Universal, you can pick up that Chocobo themed hoodie, and maybe even pick up some themed socks that I forgot about. If Chocobos aren't your thing, maybe pick up the rare Final Fantasy VII themed varsity jacket. Be quick though, only 50 were made. After dressing up, you might need some extra stuff to pair with your clothes. How about a Final Fantasy watch? How about some jewelry, like a ring, a pendant, a bracelet, or even a necklace? If you wear sunglasses, you can store them in this glasses case. You'll need some money, so why not store your money in this purse? You gotta hydrate, so keep your water in this tumbler. Keep some of your other stuff in this fanny pack. You can even accessorize it with a keychain. Go green! Keeps up your purchase in this tote bag. Need to take some notes? Why not write them down in this notebook, which is actually the lover's notebook from Final Fantasy 15. You can even write them down using this pen. Have some files you need to bring? Why not put them in this clear folder? Alright, now let's eat. While there have been a lot of Final Fantasy food promotions, officially however, there hasn't been a lot in terms of breakfast. So we'll have to buy some from either the Eorza or Artia Cafe. But that's quite the distance from where we are, so how do we get there? Well, you could take on the Final Fantasy themed buses. And if you don't want to take the bus, well, you can't use the bike either. Because surprisingly enough, despite the popularity of Cloud's motorbikes, neither of them has been made into an actual functioning vehicle. So what's your other option? Why, you can use an Audi! Specifically, the Audi R8 Star of Lucis, which, with a max speed of 330 km per hour, you'll get to either of those places in no time. And for all of you Final Fantasy VIII fans, yes, the Tempest is a real-life vehicle, and it can be bent to resemble squalls, so that can work too, I suppose. After having breakfast at one of the cafes, heck, you can even go back there for lunch or dinner if you want. You're now free for the rest of the day, so what do? You can probably go back to Universal Studios Japan and ride a Final Fantasy XR ride, and maybe buy some more souvenirs, like a blanket to warm yourself at night, and maybe a plushie, just because you can, and maybe even a wash bag for your dirty laundry, or even a popcorn bucket for the next time you go to the theaters. Or if you have some friends living in Japan, which are real people by the way, and not some sort of rumor like Eric lives, you can visit them where they live and play some Final Fantasy games. Just make sure that you're playing said Final Fantasy games on the Final Fantasy Edition consoles, because the regular versions are for lowly peasants. And when you're done playing the games, maybe you can play the official TCG with them, or the unique playing cards. If you have enough to make a party, maybe you can play the first ever Final Fantasy themed poker. Or maybe you don't like poker, like me. Then maybe play the official Triple Triad card game. Yes, this exists in real life, and yes, I want it. Actually, to be more accurate, I need it! And while it might not happen, you might need a lighter in case you or your friend might want to light something up. And in the off chance that you do, I see no better choice than to use the Zippo branded Final Fantasy lighters. Again, not sure what you're gonna use it for, because even though there's a monster with a very similar name to it, there's no tying the actual brand itself. Again, missed opportunity. But to be fair, Square Enix probably doesn't want to be responsible for doing that, so they respect the opposite. Regardless of whether or not you need to light something up, you and your friend might get hungry, so why not eat like a college student on a budget and have some cup noodles, and maybe have a drink of Coca-Cola while you're at it. You might even get a chance to get one of those Coca-Cola figurines. Or maybe you don't like cola, which I can definitely understand. Then have a drink of either the potion or elixir energy drinks. They may not heal your HP back to full, but I'm sure whatever drink you choose, they'll quench your thirst. All this talk about food has probably got you wondering, what are you gonna have for lunch and dinner? Because if you ask me, they are just as important as breakfast. I mean, you can probably go back to Artie or Eorzea, but why eat at those two places again when you can just try any of the promotional tie-ins at your favorite restaurant? Choose from either Papa John's or KFC if you're still with your friends. They have a meal you can share with them. And maybe go to Kung Fu Tea if you're feeling a bit thirsty. And if you still have room for dessert, go to Dippin' Dots. There's a Chocobo promotion, which is still Final Fantasy by the way. And now the day is done, and you're back in your hotel room. Before going to bed, you're in more comfortable clothes, along with some slippers. Maybe this carbuncle pair? Before you go to bed, maybe you're reading one of many Final Fantasy novels. Or maybe you're admiring the concept art in the official art books. And maybe while you're reading, you're listening to the official soundtracks of the series. Before long, you feel sleepy, so you set aside your book, turn off the soundtrack, and set your alarm for the next day. And then you turn off the lights, with your only light source being the Taito Tonberry lamp. Good night and sweet dreams. And as you dream, there's only one thing in your mind. How do you get home to your actual home? I mean, there is no Final Fantasy themed plane or boat. Oh well, you'll figure it when you get there. And that's it for this video. Turns out that theoretically, you can live solely off of Final Fantasy merch. This video was actually inspired by a similar video made by YouTuber Red Bard who used Evangelion as an example. Link to her video as well as their channel in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. If it's your birthday today, then happy birthday, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye everyone, be good to each other.